Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host.
Hi.
And tonight going on another Reddit story dive where we be reading actual posts from the Arlet Metallistries subreddit. Now, the internet is full of strange stories, some so unbelievable you couldn't help but roll your eyes and lose a little bit of faith in humanity. But some are just too real to ignore. Tonight you'll hear 3 true tales from Reddit that might keep you awake long after this video ends, so turn off the lights. Grab your blankets and do not forget to lock your doors because tonight we're bringing the scariest stories straight from Reddit. And now let's get started with story number 1, The Man in the Driveway. I was home alone one rainy night, minding my own business, scrolling through my phone, when I heard a car pull into my driveway. It wasn't a huge deal. It happened pretty often since I live in a nice neighborhood and people sometimes stop by to admire the flowers my mom plants or to ask how much. I paid for the stonework on the walkway, but I knew my parents were out for the night, visiting their friends. I had heard them leave and lock the house before I went to bed. My brother was away at college and no one else ever comes to visit. Plus, I'd only lived there for about a month and none of my friends knew the address yet, so I shrugged it off as probably someone from the neighborhood who wanted to borrow sugar or something and went back to my show. But then I heard the car turn off and I couldn't hear anyone getting out. The rain had picked up and the wipers were struggling to keep up. I pulled the curtains aside and peeked out into the backyard. Through the sheets of water, I saw an old beat-up sedan parked outside the garage with its headlights turned on. Looking closer, I saw a man hunched over in the driver's seat. He didn't appear to be moving. I lost the game I was playing, not really knowing why, but a shiver ran down my spine, and I decided to call my dad to ask if he knew who it was.
Yes.
As I dialed, I looked out again. To my horror, the man had opened the door and gotten out, though I couldn't see his face or anything else except that he seemed to be limping. The seconds ticked by, and I was about to hang up, when I saw him take something out of the passenger seat. Whatever it was, he cradled it like it was precious, even in the rain. I tried to make out what it was. All I could see was that it was long and metallic. Just then, my phone connected and Dad said, "Hi," his tone indicating that he was asleep and annoyed. "Hey Dad, sorry to wake you, but there's a car out front and there's a guy walking toward the front door. What's going on? Do you know who it is? What?" Dad suddenly sounded very awake. "Just hold on." Dad muttered something under his breath. I heard rustling and then, "Is it the pool guy? He never calls and he always shows up late." "No, the guy's here, but I don't think he's the pool guy. Can you come home quickly?" Okay. Stay on the line, honey. We'll be right there." I listened as Dad woke Mom up. She said hello. "Mom, please tell Dad to hurry. This doesn't feel good." I could hear her reassuring voice, and then she hung up. As I waited, I kept looking out the window. The man reached my front door and put his hand on the handle. He was soaked and shivering. As he tried to open it, I called the police. They picked up and I told them, "Hello, I need some help. There's a man who is trying to break into my house and he looks like he's wet and cold and he seems to have something long and metallic in his hands. Ma'am, I need you to calm down and answer my questions so I can send the appropriate amount of officers." I explained everything I'd seen. "Okay, ma'am, we're sending an officer right away. In the meantime, stay on the line with us." Suddenly, the man inside yanked on the door. He couldn't get it open. Instead, he walked back to his car, watched as he slowly opened his door and stepped out. Holding that same long thing, he took a step back as if waiting for something. I told the operator he just stepped out of the car. He has whatever that thing is in his hands, and he's backing away from the house. Now he's running. The man bolted and made his way to the curb. As he did, the front porch light flickered on, momentarily illuminating him in the darkness. I gasped. The man froze and looked back at the house. Then he turned and sprinted away, jumping into his car and speeding off down the street. I stayed on the line with the police until they arrived and asked me a bunch of questions, but they never found the man or anything. Funny enough, the next day the car was gone and so was whatever was in the man's hands. But the scratches on my front door remain. Sometimes I wonder what he wanted and sometimes I am glad I was smart enough to call the cops. And now story number 2, the footsteps in the basement. My family moved to a 100-year-old farmhouse. My bedroom was above the basement, and the first night we spent there, I heard faint footsteps coming from downstairs. I told myself it was the house settling, but every night after, the sound came back. Always the same, slow, deliberate steps, pacing back and forth. After a while, I forgot about it, chalked it up to an old house, and went on with my life. Then one evening, I finally worked up the courage to check. I opened the basement door and called out, "Hello?" A low whisper answered, "I've been waiting." Slammed the door and never went down there again. And now story number 3, the late night visitor. I used to work late shifts, which meant I often got home between 1 and 2 a.m. One night, it was raining heavily and I was exhausted. As I walked toward my front door, I noticed it was slightly open. I always locked my doors and windows, so I stood there puzzled, unsure if I should knock or push the door open. I pushed it and it creaked inward. The air inside felt different, somehow colder and damper than usual. I hesitated, thinking maybe I should wait for my cat to meow and confirm I was home alone. But curiosity overcame me, and I stepped inside. In the dim glow of the hallway light, I saw what appeared to be a dark, tall figure standing in the kitchen. My heart pounded against my ribs. I strained to hear better. I could hear breathing coming from the kitchen. I called out, "Hello?" But there was no reply. Only the sound of rain hitting the window pane. Fear turned to confusion. Was I imagining things? Had I been overworked? Should I go check the kitchen? I debated internally, torn between my pounding heart and my rational mind. Then, after what seemed like an eternity, the figure moved, emerged from the kitchen, stepping into the hallway. The dim light cast long shadows on the wall behind it. I couldn't see a face, but I could see what appeared to be my ex-roommate's hoodie. He'd moved out months ago. He must have come back for something. Maybe he wanted to apologize for leaving so abruptly. I racked my brain trying to think of any possible reason. The figure remained silent, just standing there in the dim light, smiling. Its smile revealed teeth that seemed too sharp, too long. Panic seized me and I stumbled backward. The figure continued to advance, taking slow, deliberate steps toward me. I raced out of the house, slamming the door behind me, and fumbled for my cell phone. I dialed 911 and breathlessly explained what had happened. When the police arrived, they searched the house. The back window was shattered, but nothing seemed to be missing. They suggested I might have imagined the whole thing, but I knew I hadn't. Remembered the fear gripping me as I'd peered down the hallway, the smell of dampness, and the glimpse of those unsettling teeth. I couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister lurked in the shadows of my home. From that night on, I slept with the lights on, my room transformed into a makeshift fortress. The peace of my home had been shattered, replaced by a constant unease. The memory of that late-night visitor lingered, a chilling reminder of the darkness that might reside just beyond the reach of the light. Alright, now it's time for the scariest part of the episode. It's the part where I ask you guys which of these stories gave you chills. Let me know in the comments, because remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones that actually happened. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, thanks for watching.